Welcome back to AFTV. Welcome to FANZONE, a chance for you to have your say by downloading the AFTV Plus app and debating with us. And the big one today, Declan Rice is apparently in contention to play according to Mikel Arteta. Why not? He said it's a beautiful thing returning to the club he used to play for. We're going to go through his exact quote in a little bit, but it sparked a little bit of debate in the office, so we're going to try and elaborate on it here, Cecil.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's, you answered that perfectly. I think it's caused a little bit of a debate. I also spoke about it with fans on Twitter as well today, and just, should Rice be risked? Should he start? Should he even feature? Should he not at all? How will he be received? You know, is it worth risking him? How serious are we going to take this competition? And I think we're going to delve into a lot of it throughout this show, and it's all about you guys as well. As you know, I'm sure you're aware of FANZONE. Download the AFTV Plus app. Come and join us. Let's have a conversation. There's a lot to talk about around this topic.
And look, I mean, we can interact with you in a million ways. One of them is the poll that's running right now. Do you think Declan Rice should start against West Ham on Wednesday? 54% have said yes, which surprises me, so we're going to go into it. That's 46%, although it's literally in real time. I'm seeing it
going up
flip. A lot of the votes are coming in now. And of course, there's the comment section as well. Tone says either rest Rice or Saka for me. This whole conversation is because Declan Rice is considered an incredibly important player, and with the injury of Thomas Partey, there's an added risk factor, even though there is a Jorginho, there is an El Neni as well. Let's go into Mikel Arteta's quote before we start everything. So you understand why we're having this conversation, because I didn't think this was going to be a talking topic come in the run up to the game today, tomorrow. I didn't think we'd be sitting here even remotely discussing the idea of Declan Rice playing, because he's so crucial. He plays every minute of every Premier League game, of every Champions League game. Although, was he taken off against Sheffield United? I think he was.
I think he was as well. Was he?
Let me have a quick look.
Double check.
But I know El Neni came on.
Interestingly,
yeah. Hold on, he did. Yeah, Rice came off for El Neni. That was I like that sub. That was a good sub.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that you just expected him to be. You know, he's expecting to start come Wednesday night against West Ham. I was on the thought track that he probably wouldn't. I think a lot of fans. No, actually, before Mikel Arteta's press conference, I generally didn't think I would see Declan Rice, regardless of him returning back to West Ham. I didn't see it coming. I mean, we're going to put our case forward. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, well,
start this.
You know what? So Steve said Rice on the bench for him. Yeah. We've got Junior says bench Rice, but then Gavin, I think, with a really great comment, says depends on what Arteta's thoughts are on the competition. If anything, I'd rest Saka for the weekend. Now that is going to be the second half of the show's discussion. How important is the Carabao Cup, and what do we do? You know, more holistically rather than just on the Declan Rice stuff. Here's what Mikel Arteta said. We've got the quotes for you here. 3 questions he was asked on the Declan Rice stuff. On if Declan Rice is likely to feature against his former club. Arteta said he's likely, he's fit and can be involved. It will be his first time back at his old club and a beautiful moment for him, I think. Then he was asked on if going back to his former club can be helpful for us. He said, I think it's beautiful. I had the experience to do it a few times. Of course, he must have done it with Arsenal, going back to Goodison Park at Everton. He says, and then you really see what they think of you and what you left at the club. It's a really good way to measure your experience and your reality within the reality of the people who share moments with you. And then on if he will get a good reception there, I would say so. I hope so. Especially every time you hear him talk about West Ham, or what they did for him and everybody at the club, he cannot talk any higher. So hopefully they will be the same towards him. Look, I think he'll get an amazing reception from the West Ham fans. That's not the bigger point, though. No. Like I said, is he really going to be considered to play this game? You don't think he should?
No, and on the
your pitch, right? Cecil's pitch. Everyone Here we go. Grab a drink. Cecil, why shouldn't Declan Rice play in this game?
Quickly as well on the how he might be received as well. Received when he plays Wednesday as well. When I spoke to a West Ham fan on the space there, he said on Twitter and online there's going to be some boos. That's what that's going around on Twitter. He said I don't think it might transcend to the actual match going fans, but and do you know what, I questioned it as well because of the way West Ham are at the moment. They're looking for a win. They haven't won a game in a while. They just lost to Everton. I think the fans will be quite frustrated and
lost in Europe as well. Yeah,
exactly. And then seeing our talisman at the moment, Declan Rice, who's their ex-player, I think it might rub salt in the wounds a little bit for certain fans. So I don't think he should not be booed, by the way. I think that's ridiculous if they do. But when I spoke to the West Ham fan, he said it is going around online and on social media that they are it seems like that's going to be the response, but we don't know. We have to see when the match going fans.
If West Ham fans want to win a game of football and support their team and think booing the player that used to play there for them is a part of gaining some sort of
advantage,
psychological advantage, and by all means do it. Like it's all part and parcel of the game. Look, he wanted to leave Declan Rice and come to us, that's fine. And they've got every right to make it uncomfortable for him on his return. But as long as that is because of the spirit of the game and fandom, and not because they actually resent him for going to Arsenal. For me, any West Ham fan, you can be disappointed he left, you can be sad he's not there anymore, but I don't think you can resent the player for leaving and going to Arsenal, or maybe they would rather he gone to Man City. That I don't understand, but I understand why they would boo him, to try and create an atmosphere and a hostile atmosphere that makes it difficult for him to play.
Which is a side of the argument I didn't look at, but quite a good one in itself. But anyway, my reasons for I don't think Declan Rice should start, should start is pretty much simply. First of all, we'll address the quotes that Arteta put up. He said about, he get a great reception and, it's beautiful. But we know Mick Arteta likes to lie. So is he double bluffing us? That could be, there's an angle there.
You're right to bring that up. He lies a lot.
He lies a lot. He lies a lot.
He said that Saka was in contention to play against City, and that, they were going to see how he was in training, but there's nothing too serious, and then he's out the squad.
Yeah.
He even took the guy in full kit to make it look like he was arriving to play. Like Arteta's, yeah.
So this could be a psychological edge, but for me, I don't feel like... The thing is, of course, if Rice starts, great, or plays, great. Like, okay, we're taking it serious and whatnot. But my question to everyone is, do we need Rice to play to win? That's where I go with this conversation. And the reason why my defense for it, that he shouldn't play, is because I found it so important that last year we kind of tailed off because injuries, and if I'm honest, it's the rotation of players that were in the squad that hadn't had many games, hadn't had many minutes, didn't understand, the magnitude and how to kind of play in the Arsenal team in that big run up to winning the title. That was a problem, in my opinion, for Arsenal. I think this season Arteta also believes that was a problem last season and has addressed that by rotating many players. You see him using his full squad, like Rob Holding's now gone, who, listen, big up Rob Holding and everything on the service he gave for Arsenal, but it kind of went downhill towards last season. But now I feel like there's not many players you can look at and say, hey, if he gets rotated in, it's going to completely collapse. I know there's likes of Cedric, we don't really see him much, but I feel like they're actually trying to move him on as well. I feel like this is an opportunity to get players playing that are unfamiliar playing with each other, and I feel like that's what we need. We need familiarity. We need that, especially going into the later stages of the competition. We've got a load of fixtures coming up, and that is key. And that means not starting Declan Rice. Don't start him. There's Jorginho. There's even El Neni, who, by the way, when he comes on, doesn't do bad. He gets received so well from the fans and has stepped in. Let's not forget against Brentford. Brentford put out a strong side in the round we played against them in this competition. We had a rotated side and dealt with them. People will say it's close because they might look at the scoreline and say 1-0. But we scored in the 8th minute, Reece Nelson, and we dominated that game. And that was with a rotated side. We don't need Declan Rice to win this game. I don't want to go with the fact of, shall we not risk him for injury? Because I got corrected here, because that was one of my arguments. But a West Ham fan told me, Cecil, he doesn't get injured. Touch wood, touch wood, touch wood. There we go.
That's the jinx we all
There
needed.
we go. He does. His injury record is phenomenal. Obviously, he only missed a game through cold and illness, and he's always, the West Ham fan actually said if there was 2 games on one day, he would play them both. So you can trust in that. But listen, we have a curse when they come to Arsenal. So I know I did say that. Hopefully that's not jinxed it. But I'm not going to go to his injury record. My big main argument for people that are going to come on, fans watching, and people that are going to debate this conversation with me, do we need Declan Rice to win this game? Because West Ham's probably a bit better this season, but I think we got the job done with them. I think we can get the job done with the options we have on the bench.
Well, your pitch is doing something to convince people, because almost 200 more votes have come in and it's swung. Now 51% of people don't think Declan Rice should play in this game. Here's my thing, right? Well, for Arsenal, I was asked what my 11 would be. We went through every position. I don't believe I said Declan Rice as the starting 6.
Yeah, I didn't.
But there was a big glaring issue as we were building that. Without Thomas Partey and without El Neni match fit, even though he's come on against Brentford, came on the last game, without those players fit, Jorginho in the midfield with Ødegaard returning, Smith Rowe trying to get more minutes, Kai Havertz, Fabio Vieira, however you want to balance that midfield, that, for whatever technical ability it has, is a very don't want to use the word lethargic, but it's not a slow, physically imposing midfield. All right, Kai Havertz wins headers sometimes and gets stuck in. They all get stuck in. I'm talking about covering ground and what looks at least a big pitch at the London Stadium against a team that, because of the last 2 results they've had, I think are going to go quite strong in this game. I think we will see 1 or 2 of Alvarez, Souček or James Ward-Prowse. Pick your poison. They're all brilliant. Well, they're all brilliant. They all have things, whether it's Souček's height and his ability to win headers and what he does on set pieces, whether it's Ward-Prowse's box-to-box nature, whether it's Alvarez is a good player. You've got Kudus, Fornals, Paqueta, Bowen. Like, they've got a lot of Ben Rama. They've got a lot of really, really talented footballers. And I wouldn't be chancing this. Now, let me, again, it's about the balance. So if he goes Jorginho but starts Odegaard and I don't know, someone else, but this, I don't like our options in that left eight. I don't like them. I think the reason I could understand Declan Rice playing this game is because we lack physicality with the options we've got. If Partey was fit and he pulled Rice out the 11 and he went Smith Rowe, Partey, Havertz, I'd be okay with that. But we don't have Partey available. Jorginho's probably going to play at Newcastle because I think he'll revert to what we did at St James's Park last season with Jorginho in that midfield, with Rice doing the box-to-box role that Xhaka did. So is Jorginho going to play 2 away games in a week? Probably not. And then you've got El Neni. I struggle. What I'm trying to say is I'm totally sympathetic if he does play, because I want to go through, and I'm not sure how you get a great balance to that midfield without Rice coming in there to offset the lack of physical attributes that the rest of the midfielders are going to offer. Am I making sense?
It's a strong point. It's a strong point because West Ham, the players you mentioned, I think many people might forget how strong they are, and Alvarez and Paqueta, they were deemed to not be available, but that transfers over to the Premier League, so they will be available for this game. And with the run that David Moyes has been on and the losses, he's under pressure, so he has to take this cup serious. I think I mentioned this in the preview. Cup runs really do, I think, hold David Moyes in good stead when it comes to the West Ham fans. I think he relies on the cup runs. So you're going to need a good midfield in there, but I can't deter away from the fact that we beat Brentford with the midfield of Jorginho, Emile Smith-Rowe and Havertz. And I know you can probably say that West Ham midfield is better. I just think if you have the likes of Odegaard in that midfield, and then you have one of those frontline players, and a senior one, whether that's Eden Ketta's not senior, but he is. Well, he is. He knows he's a senior player in Arsenal, really. Him up front or a Trossard in there, you can rely on them to get the goals. And then at the back, if you have someone senior there, whether that's a Saliba or a Gabriel, or even a Tomiyasu, in my opinion. And when I say senior, I mean a level that you feel secure. I feel like you can rotate in that midfield. I feel like Arteta needs to do that because he needs to build the relationships of these players, because when it gets to those games where someone's injured again and we're in those latter stages, he needs to know that, well, I've seen you guys play in that game against a Premier League opposition and I trust you to do it. Go and do it. I'm not saying he's going to be playing against a City in the last game of the season to win the Premier League, but I need to know you can go up against Premier League opposition and get the job done, because I've seen you do it against West Ham instead of throwing a Declan Rice in there, which we know what he can do. And I don't think that throws away the competition, because, by the way, I want to take it seriously. I want us to win this. I want us to go strong. I just think you can go strong and rotate. I'm not saying that you put in a Miles Lewis-Skelly. I don't. Okozie Dubry, by the way, I would love if they're on the bench and they do get some minutes. I have to say that. But I'm not saying you start with them. You start fairly strong and you make great points, James. But I just feel like this is a game you don't need to risk him, unless you're in those fantasies and the semantics of, but he's playing against his old club. He can do a walk down the touchline and clap the fans.
Well, Thomas King says, I wouldn't start Rice, I'd bench him and bring him on if required. Touch Wolsom said, rather him not, but I don't mind if he plays, and I think West Ham fans won't disrespect him by booing or jeering, because he was so good for them.
James, just quickly before we go on. If have you changed to say you would start him, or are you still are you trying to be just, you're not fussed either way?
Let me tell you what. See, me and Robbie were going like at it on the Bukayo Saka debate,
and me as well.
For me, that's different because Bukayo Saka is very young. I mean, we're talking 21, 22, and has been playing consistent minutes for 3-4 years, and there is no natural depth to his position. And I felt we need to protect him and look after him a little bit more because he plays in a role where he gets kicked all the time. Declan Rice, has shown incredible. I mean, to be fair, Saka had too, but Rice has shown real sturdiness. He doesn't get injured as often, again, touch wood. He's played as a box-to-box as a 6. We have cover as a 6 because we've got so many options as well. And it's early in his Arsenal career. Like, it's not like I've been watching for 3-4 years, never get taken out of the team.
Yeah.
It's still early. I don't feel this sense of like, we need to take him out of the team and rest him. That's where I think the arguments slightly differ with Saka.
Performances were also dipping as well for Saka. Just to be fair, I know that was... Listen, he still palms out big moments, but that's also...
And he was also coming off in games injured. So all of that fed into why it just didn't make sense for him to play against Lens. But in this game, if Arteta wants to use Rice, go for it, because I'm taking it seriously, as are you. And like we said, that's going to be the next part of this discussion debate is why shouldn't we be taking it seriously? But let's try to take some callers as well. We want to get all your opinions on Declan Rice. Who's the first to join us? Javi, how you doing?
Hey.
I'm doing very well, gents. How are you?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Declan Rice, is it worth risking him for this?
Nah, I don't even want him to play a single second. I don't even want a guy to twist his ankle coming off the bus. So I'd rather him just stay at home. Don't even travel, lad. You know.
Really?
You're a smart man. I knew you was a smart man, Javi. I always knew you were.
No, we all know he's a smart man. But come on, let's put him under some pressure. Okay, but Javi, is that because of your take on the Carabao Cup and its significance?
Oh, yeah.
No, so the Carabao Cup, so interestingly enough, I think this is a competition that depending on how, I think this really comes down to the luck of a draw, right? So for example, if first round I get Ipswich Town, right, then fair enough. But if I get first round Manchester City, when there's still so many tough teams in the competition, I'm not trying to take it that seriously. I think you have to start taking it seriously once you progress to a certain point and depending who's still left in it. It's the round of 16. You know, Newcastle will probably go through, Liverpool will probably go through, Chelsea will probably still go through. And those are teams that, especially if you get them away from home, you know, you could very easily, get out of the cup. So it's not like we're one game away from a semifinal or one game away from a final. You know, we could be risking injury or fatigue here and we can still get bounced in the next round for what is, realistically speaking, probably out of all the competitions that we're involved in right now, third in terms of priority.
Yeah.
But then also, James, when you look at the players that we have in this squad, a lot of big calls have been made by Arteta. Jorginho, which we all saw as a stopgap, you decided to keep him for another year. You also decided to keep injury-prone Partey. You didn't go ahead and get another holding midfielder, which I was calling for example. Well, then you have to accept the consequences of your actions and play the player you decided to keep. You decided to let Tierney go and now bring a backup left back. So if that means you have to start either Ben White or Zinchenko, that's on you. Fabio Vieira was brought in for 40 million. Emil Smith-Rowe was seen as someone who was supposed to be on this upwards trajectory alongside Bukayo Saka. So he should start as well. You have a 65 million pound midfielder that you signed, and yet we can't say, oh yeah, put him in the Carabao Cup. You decided to extend Reece Nelson's contract. Trossard has been a revelation, and Eddie Nketiah just scored a hat-trick. So I don't see any reason why the likes of either a Rice, an Odegaard, or a Martinelli needs to start this game.
Okay. Very good points, and stop smirking. Very good points. Very good points.
Very good points.
But I still want to go through, and there's a balance that needs to be struck between giving us our best opportunity of going through without hampering not just our long-term title objectives, which means having Rice available for all those, but it's also, being fresh for the weekend come Newcastle. So you're a tactics man. How do we find a balance from, I assume in the options you're happy to go with are El Neni, Jorginho, my camera, there we go, Havertz, Smith-Rowe, Odegaard, because he missed the last one if you really wanted to. Like, how do we get a balanced midfield out of those options? Because I can see West Ham walking all over us. And while I will forgive Arteta not going full strength and totally understand it, I won't forgive him after so many years having a squad, and then when he turns to that squad, they can't do the business against, with all due respect to West Ham, a good side, but is mid-table harsh? They were kind of 14th, 13th last season. They finished 6th the year before that. You don't know what you're going to get from West Ham, but they've got talented players. I don't want us to just fall out this.
Well, listen, I think that if you were to go with Jorginho, Vieira, and Havertz, let's say, I think there you have a decent combination between technique and physicality. You can put Trossard on the left, you can put Eddie Nketiah down the middle, and you can put Reece Nelson on the right. And I think that alone, you have more than enough, I think, finishing ability and dynamism, and Trossard and Reece Nelson, two players who are very, very good on the ball, who can definitely give, West Ham's fullbacks, a lot to deal with. And that midfield, really, Havertz, he needs to get minutes and he needs to come into, fruition. Like, it needs to happen. You can't just continue to have a 65 million pound player featuring 15, 20 minutes. And Vieira has shown a lot of promise. And Jorginho is a player who has experience. And with this kind of fixture and this kind of game should be the perfect opportunity for him to shine through. Yeah. I don't see how, that is a midfield and a forward line that shouldn't, at the very minimum, not be able to contend or keep us within the game for at least 60 to 70 minutes. And then if you need to reinforce and give 20, 30 minutes to the likes of an Odegaard or a Saka or Martinelli who can come on, against tired legs, should be more than enough to see the game through. I don't believe that's that crazy of an assumption. Yeah, and if that team can't get the job done, gentlemen, then we need to be honest with ourselves. If we don't have faith in that squad, as much as we want to go through, that shows that we don't have the quality and depth to be able to compete on multiple fronts this season. And if that's the case, then you have to ask yourself, right now, what are the two competitions that we can actually go for? And that's Champions League and Premier League. You can't spread your resources, too much. You can't fight a war on two fronts if you can't, do what you got to do. And it's not just football, it's logistical, it's, warfare. It's always existed. You have to know your limitations. And if that team can't get the job done, then just prioritize the competitions that are most important.
You know what? Some really fair points. Let me ask you then, final question. Does he play tomorrow, Rice, at all? Even if he comes off the bench, do you think?
In my opinion, he shouldn't. Will he? Oh, yeah. He'll play the full 90 minutes. Arteta will be shouting at him. He'll be, telling him to kick about. He can get shot in the kneecap. Arteta will still, put the magic sponge and have him run around. Does not matter. He'll even have wind barking at him if he doesn't run too much.
Do you remember Thomas Partey tried to come off injured? He'll do that thing with pushing back.
I've got to say, Arteta told us from day one, listen, certain players, I'm forcing you back on that pitch.
And he does.
And Bukayo Saka knows more than most. Javi, always great. And I hate that you're changing my mind, but I'm going to try to stand firm.
Yeah, I didn't get involved too much in that because
Javi, battles for you, man.
I'm sorry. He said everything that I agree with everything. I don't want him to play.
You tried to press my man, but I was like Busquets,
press resistant.
Get out of here, Busquets. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Always great to hear from Javi. Let's get our next caller. Someone who's hopefully. Hey, Michael. Now you're a sensible man. Help me here. Declan Rice.
I wouldn't play him 90 minutes. I'd play him the first 50 or 60. And
I have a problem with this already.
Now, let him land.
All right, go on,
Michael.
I have a problem with this.
I want to win this competition, but even more than that, if Arteta's going to use games like this to audition people that are knocking on the door to get into the starting 11, like Smith Rowe, like Reece Nelson, like Fabio Vieira, it is unfair to them not to play them with Rice to see how the chemistry works with them, right? That if we throw them out there and they're just with Jorginho or El Neni, they're just the B team, and we don't ever see what it would look like if they were in the starting 11. Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong. I love El Neni. I love Jorginho. I think they're both underrated. I don't think that we would lose this match if they start. But the reason I want to see Declan Rice starting is I want to see how ESR or Fabio Vieira or Reece Nelson works with him. Okay.
I think that's a great point. Sorry to cut you. I'm smirking because I know it's got you thinking. But it's a great point because Declan Rice is a sturdy individual. He's played a lot of football at a young, for the last 4 or 5 years, a regular in that West Ham team. And you make such a good point. We watch these players come in, and to be fair, against Brentford, I actually thought Smith Rowe Havertz did well when it was Jorginho. But you're right, it's can they build chemistry? Can they build combination understandings? We all know that there's something about Rice and Odegaard that isn't quite there at the moment, like it was with Partey, Odegaard. Can we form other combinations and understandings? So I think you make a great point, Michael.
Can I make a couple of cultural points quickly?
Absolutely.
First off, I don't think we should be calling it the Carabao Cup. It is the League Cup. That is the thing that gives it pedigree and history. And it's true that the EFL and the clubs in it are contractually obligated to parrot that line.
Yeah,
the same for some energy drink company, the same way that they did for Carling and Capital One and Littlewoods and Worthingtons. But we're not contractually obligated. And if our independent fan base is all about resisting corporate domination of the game, we owe it to ourselves as a matter of self-respect to call this the League Cup. Like, when we say we want to win the league, we don't say we want to win the Barclays Premier League. When we salute each other, come on, you Gunners, we don't tack on Fly Emirates. So why are we being the unwitting, unpaid corporate shills for some energy drink company when we're talking about the League Cup? Final cultural point. I'm looking forward to see what kit we wear. I assume it's going to be the radioactive zebras again, okay? And you know that I've struggled with this. At first, I thought it was a hideous atrocity, okay? But my thinking is evolving on this, that I now think that it's like the Medusa complex, that we are so ugly to look at that it actually helps us lose our markers because the home team simply can't bear to keep us in their sight lines. And now I'm thinking that it's actually anarchist punk fashion, that when the away team comes to the home field, when we score a goal, our players are always going in a hush to the home crowd, because we are the pantomime villains. We are destroying the beauty of the spectacle that they came to see. So it makes sense that we're wearing these like bad modern art Halloween costumes, because we are destroying the aesthetic coherence of the home team spectacle. So I now love the radioactive zebra jersey the same way that I love the album cover for the Sex Pistols. You know, it's anarchist punk fashion, and we should embrace that.
Okay, Michael. Oh, okay. Let me just quickly, before we move on to the next call, let me just go back at some of the things we've discussed. This. Firstly, League Cup. I'm with you on that.
I'm happy to call it the League Cup.
I'm gonna take that with me from this. So thank you very much for making that point. I'm not going to take with me Declan Rice. Firstly, you said at least 60 to 50 minutes. Now, this has happened before. What happens if we go 1-0 down or 2-0 down against West Ham and it's 60, 50 minutes? Are you saying then make a change? Because I'm sure Arteta, I've seen it happen before. He starts to panic and he wants to keep on his best players like Declan Rice. And then you force him to play the full 90. And then potentially something could happen. He might be exhausted. He might have to be overworked. And that's where a problem could fall. So it depends which way the game's going. I think risking him for 60 minutes, you don't know which way the game could go. If we go down, we're going to likely want to keep him on. So that I have an issue with playing 50, 60 minutes. Getting used to playing with players like Declan Rice, I like that argument. Fair play, well thought. I did like that one. However, for me, Declan Rice isn't the player that players have to get familiar with playing with. I understand Martin Odegaard because he pieces things together. He finds through balls, he finds passes. When it comes to Declan Rice, there'll be enough familiarity, I believe, within training. I think the team that I want to see against West Ham are mixed between strong and fringe players, because I understand the feeling of a player being in a B team. You don't play, I know that feeling, and you don't play to the level you want to play at. Trust me, I fully get that. But I'm saying go strong, but I don't think we need to risk Rice in this game. That's my personal opinion. But I do take your points. They are great ones, but some I have to counter with. But that's my thoughts on those briefly.
If we fail, we fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place, and we'll not fail. Come on, you Gunners. Fly Emirates.
The first half of that, I didn't realise it was Shakespeare. Michael, thank you as always.
Thank you, Michael. You've been
he's got me thinking about everything. He's got me thinking about
the Barclays Family.
Should we be calling it? Maybe we shouldn't. It's the league. Listen. Yeah. It's got me thinking.
Fly Emirates, sure. Fly Bet, Arsenal Football Club. Fly Emirates, fly better.
I do think.
But we go to the Emirates Stadium. I mean, but it is a good point, though. Which Carabao, I don't like calling it the Carabao Cup anyway. I normally do say the League Cup or the EFL Cup, but
I do believe that they could do more to revamp the excitement around some of these competitions 100%. And give them a little bit more prestige, because it's not a Carabao thing. It's whether it was Capital One, as he said, whether it was all these different names, Worthingtons and all, Carling. Carling, for whatever reason, worked. I don't know why. The Carling Cup.
That was Tottenham's last trophy, 2008.
That's true, actually, so I hate it. So there's definitely something to be said for, like, if this is one of my crazy theories. I have this like list of crazy theories, from sin bins to stop clocks for the time or whatever. the Champions League is for champions.
Right.
Why not the spots taken by winners of the cups? Wouldn't that suddenly make these cups so much more exciting?
100%.
Man City have just been dumped out the Carabao from whatever, Newcastle away. Now, that opens the door for, let's look at some of the fixtures.
Oh, there's like Mansfield.
Exeter City, win the cup, you're in the Champions League. What a story.
To be fair,
Who doesn't want
do you
this?
know what? That's not a bad point.
Let's get the fixtures up. Let's see who in my James verse
Port Vale
has an opportunity.
Port Vale versus PSG.
Who doesn't want to see that?
League one day.
Who doesn't want to?
It's not a bad. Do you know what? James, look
Mansfield Town hosting Borussia Dortmund tonight. Like, who doesn't want to see that?
That would be fascinating. It would bring more. You know, it'd be more competition to the.
But on a serious note, are you telling me if are you telling me that if you could win, if you could get a place in the Champions League by winning a cup, which, like we said, it's called the Champions League, but this is never going to happen. You're going to say it's a shit idea, and I know it already. But are you telling me that Man United 11 that goes out against Newcastle looks slightly stronger tomorrow
100%.
night? That Arsenal's doesn't look stronger against West Ham? That Everton's and Burnley's and Chelsea's and Liverpool's? Are you telling me they don't look stronger because nothing's a given? I think Man City probably the only team. I like to chuck Arsenal in there, that are very confident, like you very confidently know. Would Tottenham have rotated the way they did against Fulham when they went out on penalties about a month and a bit ago? Would they have rotated that much if there were Champions League football up for grabs? And this suddenly lifts the prestige of the competition.
But is there too many competitions that leads you into the Champions League spot anyway? I think so if you win Europa League, you get a Champions League spot, right? And then FA Cup, you don't get a champion. No, you don't. But then this as well.
Spot,
but to be fair, it wouldn't even be a bad idea because they're expanding the Champions League. Because think about it, top 5, it's not top 4 anymore. I mean, it could. I'm not angry against it. I feel like it does need a revamp anyway because they don't even show on TV some of the rounds, which I think's a little bit disrespectful. I remember I think it was last season. I remember they didn't show the Arsenal one on mainstream TV. The Arsenal fixture in the League Cup. So
I think the point I'm making. Listen, I understand there's a lot of very, very good reasons why you wouldn't make the Carabao Cup a Champions League rewarding competition if you win it. I understand that. But I do think football could do with a little bit of what's the word? Just like readdressing of some of the on-pitch rules, off-field rules, some of the general the fact that we have a competition, this is why I always say to people, okay, when people say to me, I don't care about the League Cup, let me say, I have no problem with people saying, I'm not as bothered about it as I am the other competitions. I think that's true of most people. But to say I don't care, like, we got knocked out and I don't care, it makes no difference to me. I don't get that school of thought because we all talk about wanting to lift silverware and seeing our teams win. Go to Wembley, lift silverware, win competitions. There are so few opportunities to do that. There are so few. There are 4 a season if we get into Europe.
Yep.
And of those 4, you can bet the Man City are sweeping up 3 of them. so
and one might not even be in Wembley. You might be going somewhere like abroad to see a final.
And even if they're not, they're going to make you work bloody hard to get it.
Amen.
Like, I don't know why we should ridicule and not care about certain competitions.
Many people have that school of thought. I don't as well. I'm with you, James. You know I'm with you. Even the community shield.
You don't have to run an open top bus parade around North London.
Of course,
you don't have to. But to want to win it and put out an 11 that considers what you've got coming up with the rest of the games and the opposition on the weekend, whatever, whilst also knowing that you are giving that team a legitimate good chance of making its way through. It's about striking that balance. That balance is very difficult to strike. That's why I will never get onto Arteta that much about what 11 he puts out in a Carabao Cup game, unless he goes super weak.
League Cup, but yeah.
League Cup. Sorry, Michael. Unless he goes way too far with it, then I'm like, well, you've just played the under-19s.
Come on. You've thrown it away.
Yeah. Unless it looks like he's really thrown it away. But otherwise, I don't know.
I'll take it serious. Well, it'll be interesting to hear what the callers, how serious the callers think about the League Cup.
Let's evolve into that question now while we talk about Declan Rice as well. Who's our next caller? Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
What's your name?
Ashel. My
Ashel,
name is
lovely to meet you.
Ashel.
Lovely to meet you, Ashel. Give us your thoughts, right, on, first of all, the league, I need to say Carabao, the League Cup, and and its importance to you? Do you not care, or are you excited for tomorrow's game and nervous and feeling like you want to win?
Well, I will say I'm a bit nervous because I don't know if we're gonna win or not. And for me, I do place importance on the Carabao, on the League Cup, I should say. And the reason for that being is because it helps build a winning mentality for the team, and also to uplift the fans, and also give us confidence for the title race and for the remaining cup competitions as well.
Go on.
Just quickly, where are you calling in from? That's a very strong island accent. Where are you calling in from?
I'm currently living in New Jersey, but I'm from Guyana. I'm a Guyanese.
Can hear the island accent. Just quickly, I think you make a great point there when it comes to the winning mentality, because do you know what? Big Steve said this to me. It has never left me. He's mentioned it in a fan cam that rhythm is such an important thing when it comes to football. A winning mentality, but a rhythm of a team playing well and understanding, even if it is 3 games a week, the whole saga last year of bigger fish to fry and all that, and going out of these competitions didn't bode well for us because they lost a rhythm of playing and getting that feeling of winning. And I feel like you're right there. I think we need to keep that. That's why, regardless of what competition it is, take it seriously. Make it every game feel like it is, a serious competition or a serious final. So I respect you in that context.
And if I can build on that point and throw back as well, Ashel, is that, because I'm agreeing with you. Guardiola won this competition 4 years in a row. You don't fluke your way to 4 in a row. You win 4 in a row because you want to win that competition. Jose Mourinho's won it on several occasions. And more often than not, when he won it, his team built on that momentum and went on to lift the Premier League title as well. Managers that are winners and have won things have lifted this trophy too. No manager has ever gone, I'm winning all the biggest honours. Oh, but I don't care about that one.
Yeah.
No, that one doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because Jurgen Klopp
Especially
and Liverpool
nowadays.
were lifting that. When they went for the quadruple and they fell on the final day to a last-minute turnaround to Man City, they lost the league title. They lost the Champions League by a single goal against Real Madrid in that final. But they had the other 2 cups to show for what was a remarkable season. And I don't know why people don't understand that. Yes, they didn't win the big 2, but look what they still have a lot to show for their season. And I think this competition is far too disrespected, in my opinion. So I want to then ask you, how strong would you go? Declan Rice, does he play?
Where are you at, Declan Rice? Where James or me?
I will start him from the bench. I will put Jorginho in there along with Odegaard and Smith Rowe.
Yeah, it's a strong midfield. That's a good midfield.
I think that's fair. I think that's what I went with as well. That's what I think Arteta will go with.
This is what I mean. I want to win, but if Arteta puts that midfield out, I'm not sitting there going, you threw the game. He's put our captain out there. Smith Rowe was the better of him and Havertz the other day, and Jorginho's an experienced player who can do a job. So fair enough.
Thank you.
Ashel, big thank you. Let's get a score prediction from you before you go.
I was just about to go on, James.
I will say
2-0.
2-0.
2-0 to the Arsenal. Okay.
Clean sheet for Ramsdale.
Many thanks.
If he starts.
Correct.
Big up Michelle, man. Big up.
Rise,
All right,
Carl
thank you.
Hine. All right, who's next? Let's get our next caller in. Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey,
Good to
what's
see
going
you.
on, brother?
Yeah, big up James and Cecile. I'm in Albufeira, I'm in Portugal.
I swear.
Fair enough.
yeah, it was my birthday Saturday, just gone. So
Oh,
I'm out
amazing.
here
Happy
just
birthday.
right now.
I'll be honest, I thought you were in the gym.
Yeah, the echo. Yeah, we can hear you. It's quite loud, but it's fine. It's fine. We can hear you.
Yeah, literally, I feel like I would go with Declan Rice.
To start,
I would play for the first 50 to 60 minutes because I feel like I think it'll be good for Arteta to play a mixed team. To kind of play with a few fringe players. I want him to mix it up a little bit. I feel like if he goes with a full, I don't want him to go with a full fringe team or B side because it makes the players feel like I'm not a part of the first 11. So I feel like I want him to go with Rice, Smith Rowe, and maybe a Fabio Vieira in the midfield, just so it's a bit combative and you've got a bit of creative ability in there. And I hope it goes with Tomiyasu, Kiwi, or I want to see Cedric as well. I saw the predicted 11 still that you, Turkish, and Laurie did, and I think he should really think about balancing up the team because, listen, I want to win this trophy. who are we as Arsenal supporters to say that we shouldn't be going for this trophy? In the Emirates era, we've only won FA Cups, and yes, it's better than some clubs that haven't won nothing down the road. But hey, listen, I feel like we should be. I feel like we should be going for this, guys, man.
You're saying. Sorry, Scott. You're saying.
El Neni, but, yeah.
You're saying don't play Declan Rice for the full 90 though.
I wouldn't play for the full 90 though, Cecil. What, are you thinking different?
So what happens if West Ham go in front of us? They start winning 1-0 or 2-0. Are you going to say, quick, take off Declan Rice for El Neni? Because that's going to say, what happens there?
If it's a situation where we're 2-0 down, and I feel like we've got to keep him for the full 90, Declan Rice has got his engine in terms of his fitness levels. If we have to play him for the full 90, I will. Ideally and realistically, I wouldn't want to play him for the full 90 because I feel like we could then bring on a Jorginho, or even if you started El Neni with Rice and then or a Fabio Vieira, I feel like I would love to see El Neni or Jorginho play alongside Rice. I want him to really mix it up. I don't want to see Saka start. Martinelli, I don't really want to see Saka or Martinelli start. I want to see Trossard and Reece Nelson, but I feel like he really needs to mix up and play with a strong starting 11 with some fringe players. But I just want to give I hope Nketiah starts as well, because obviously I couldn't jump on the FANZONE on Saturday. His hat-trick against Sheffield United on Saturday was quality, man.
Yeah,
and
great
I feel
hat-trick.
like because Gabriel Jesus is out, it'll be good for him to kind of build up his confidence a bit more and get him in the run of going.
Okay.
Fair.
Well, listen,
Right,
thank you so much for joining us. And listen, enjoy your birthday week of celebrations, man.
By the way,
I'm about to jump in the jacuzzi, man.
enjoy. You've got some happy birthdays coming through. Snake Eye says happy birthday, man. Red Eye Guna says happy birthday, Guna. So lovely community wishing you all a happy birthday, mate. Go enjoy.
Big up.
Appreciate it, man.
Good
I'll
to
catch
see
you
you.
guys up soon. I'm back Wednesday anyway.
In a bit. Enjoy.
I hope I get some happy birthdays from the Arsenal community.
When's your birthday?
Tomorrow, baby.
No, I didn't. I put it.
I was gonna say I was doing that through Grit Team. I was thinking, James, you cheeky.
No.
man,
After the
birthday.
10 stories you posted of me on my birthday, I was like, I can't forget his. This would be outrageous.
Come on.
So don't worry. It's actually I've got a reminder on my phone. It literally reads Cecil's birthday.
Yes, do not forget, and everyone watching.
Cecil's B-Day. There you
Love
go.
that. The only thing I want for my birthday, Arsenal, please win. Just win. Don't ruin my birthday.
Is that really all you want? Like, it's
No,
not,
of course.
like,
There's loads of other things, but we're just
PS5 and
we're on AFTV right now, so
Fair.
just make sure they know that's the number one priority right now.
Okay,
But yeah.
you said something there, and you mentioned it to Michael as well. What happens when it's a 60 minutes with 1-0 down? I think this is one of those where Arteta is allowed to go for it, but also have a point at which he's not willing to go further.
Right.
Like, it can be a calculated risk. It can be something. And I think as fans, we need to understand that. If he starts Declan Rice, but he says to himself, no matter what, on 60 minutes he comes off, it's a pre-planned sub, it is happening. I can understand that. Even for 1-0 down and he's playing brilliantly, I can understand him going, the data science says we need to manage his minutes and we're going to need him for 90 against Newcastle. He can't play a minute over 60. And yes, I want to go through in the next round of the League Cup, but there's only so much I'm willing to put on the line to do it. I'm okay with that. Because, listen, if we're 1-0 down, with an hour of football played, and Declan Rice on the pitch, well, he's also part of the reason why we're 1-0 down.
Yeah.
So make a change, fine. Like Jorginho, El Neni, whatever they can. But we've won at their place with El Neni in midfield before. Jorginho has played well against West Ham in the past, whether it's for us or for Chelsea, whoever it might be. So there's nothing wrong with pre-planning that. But my big thing is, how much is his 11 going to tell us? I really actually want to win this game. I'm not just here to make up the numbers and hope we get through. We have Brentford away and then West Ham away. If we win those two and we're into the quarterfinals, we've really earned our place there. And for me, once you get to a quarters, it starts getting exciting of any competition.
I'm quite excited at this point, James. I'll be honest. If we get past West Ham, looking at the teams, we put the fixtures up earlier. Well, the teams that are left in this competition still. I know there's a Chelsea, there's a Liverpool. You see it here. Like, to me, this is saying, Arsenal, you can go on and win this competition. Liverpool is the only really club
The two teams either side of us in the league are out. Tottenham are top, West Ham, Man United, Man City are third. I just said a load of teams for Man City. Tottenham and Man City are out of this competition. we can win this.
Look at
Liverpool
those-
are very
look
good.
at those badges. Look at
Chelsea
the
played
teams.
really well against us. I hear it. But one of Bournemouth and Liverpool going to go out. Okay, it's away from home. You never know. Bournemouth might do something. Man United, Newcastle, one of them is going out. Like, there's a chance here. And I think I'll be really disappointed. I know they'll be looking at us and also going, yeah, West Ham could knock Arsenal out, of course.
Yeah.
Of course they could. But if we make it through, who knows? Andoni Iraola's pulled out a masterclass for Bournemouth and Liverpool out of the cup, because they always do rotate heavily.
Yeah.
You know, one of United and Newcastle are gone. And then it's just, you're looking at, with all due respect to all the other clubs, there are other clubs in there that
Of
you're
course.
wary of. But suddenly you start to think we're
favourites,
Like-
by the way. Let's not get twisted. We're favourites in that out of those teams. Some might say
That's
Liverpool, but
interesting.
we are. For me, there.
We'll be there with Liverpool. We'll be there
They're
with
Liverpool, yeah, and potentially
Yeah.
Newcastle. But I would say if I'm, and that's me taking away my bias, I look at it and I think other teams would be looking at us saying, oh, I hope West Ham just have a lucky day and Arteta rotates and they get a win. So, listen, I think we can win this competition.
We've got, I mean, this is a great question from Stu, to be fair play. And it's actually made me think about it in a different way. He says, Cecil, have you got another rap for your birthday?
I was thinking, what is the I thought it was going to come to the point of if we go 1-0 down, no raps for I'm done. My rap career is in the mud, unfortunately. It's out. It's not happening. But I do have a special video going on my social media that I've been working on for a long time. So check that out at some point.
Fair
anyway.
enough.
That's SOG. But yeah, no, I just feel like yeah, we can definitely win this competition. We should take it seriously. I know we got some callers waiting, but I just wanted to go on that point that, you know, Arsenal should really be taking it serious and fans should look at it like, you know, we can go and win this, believe in it. And I know I'm not going to do the whole believe, but this is a Man City game next. But with the Rice thing as well, I know we said if we do go 1-0 down and if he's not going to die by his sword, take him off at 60 minutes. But also we know naturally that, you know, if Arsenal go down or teams go down in cup competitions like this, they start to bring on their Avengers, shall we say. That's what traditionally happens. They try and throw on the players to kind of salvage the game. And I feel like Rice you can gauge a game from what you see early on and then make the substitutions instead of forcing him to start. I think that can be a detriment, because if he has a bad game and drops a stinker in front of his old home crowd and then he has to go to Newcastle and pick back up his confidence, doesn't bode well for me.
All right, well, let's go into our next caller. We've got some comments and super chats. We'll take in a little bit. Hi, what's your name? We have met before, I
Hey,
think.
we did on Saturday. Stephen, how's it going, guys?
Stephen,
Hi,
good to
Stephen.
see you again.
Hello,
Good to
lovely to
see
meet
you.
you.
I'm terrible with names, but I always remember a face. So welcome back. Where do you land on this debate?
I'm really sorry, Cecil, but I can't agree with you on this one, man. I just
Brother.
think that I want to, but looking at the squad we have, particularly in that number 6 area at the moment, obviously we know that there's issues with Partey. I know Jorginho can fill that position, but I think it'd be fair to say that at the minute Rice is probably our most important midfielder, and I think certainly in the last few performances, he's almost, I wouldn't say carried, but he's been, without him, I don't think we would have got the results that we have. And I just think with the running that we've got coming up, particularly Newcastle at the weekend, I know that we want to go into every competition believing that we can win it. And I think we've got a good squad, but I just think at the moment with the injuries that we have, with him being so paramount to our overall play, I just don't think it's worth the risk.
Stephen, don't you think that, you know, West Ham are going to be the most prepared for a player like Declan Rice? They know him inside out. So to put him on, and they know how to deal with him. They know his weaknesses. They know what's how to kind of get out at a team with Declan Rice in. Do you think it would be better to try something different? Arteta might be thinking that you know, maybe try Jorginho because they're not going to be as prepared for that sort of player.
I don't think that's a terrible idea, personally. I know there's been conversations around the players that got a chance at Sheffield United on Saturday. Is he going to go with a similar team to what was picked for there? I wouldn't be against that, personally. I just don't think that he specifically is one that we should be risking. I think bring Ødegaard back into the midfield, start Jorginho. I'd like to see Smith Rowe given another chance, personally. I'm not against that at all. I just think him specifically,
You don't
not
want to
this
risk.
game.
You should keep him in. Okay. All right. Well, let me just get what's your score prediction then for tomorrow's game?
I'm not feeling confident. I'm not going to lie to you. I really want to.
We got to play Declan Rice. He's the main man. He's on top form.
Yeah.
But you know what? He ain't even going to be able to get us a result.
I'm just not convinced that we're going to pick a strong enough side. And I think West Ham, they need to get a good run of form going themselves. I think they'll see this as an opportunity. Big scalp against Arsenal.
Yeah.
You know they're going to put their best 11 out or as much as available. I don't think Arteta's going to risk too many players. I think Saka will get rested, Martinelli especially. And I just don't think... I think I'd take a draw and maybe winning on penalties.
Okay.
But
okay.
I don't see us winning in 90 minutes.
Okay, well, Stephen, listen, thank you so much. We have a lot of callers, but thank you for your contribution, my friend, and big
Pleasure,
up
guys. Take care.
Always a pleasure, mate.
for speaking. Big
You
up.
know, like, I understand the hesitation. I went for a draw. I think Arsenal might win on penalties, but I think it'll be a draw in 90.
That's what Turkish went with.
I do buy into that West Ham on the back of a few poor results, and look, you've had a taste of success winning the Conference League. They're going to want to, I think, go fairly strong in this and take it to Arsenal. And I think there's a really good chance that across the first 90 we won't have enough, but over penalties maybe we come through. Yeah, I can almost see Arsenal ending with a stronger team than they start with, and West Ham ending with a weak. I can almost see West Ham starting quite strong, Arsenal rotating quite a bit, and then as the game goes on, I mean, while West Ham have some decent depth and some good options, I could see them maybe the subs weaken them a little bit as Arsenal maybe try to get back into it or whatever. So
no, I agree. I think I said 2-1, but I think it'll be a very, very tight, hard-fought 2-1. So they're kind of similar. Our next caller that we have on the lines. Oh, hello.
How you doing?
What's your name, my friend?
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm very well. What's your name?
Lee from South Africa. I've spoken, I think, I haven't spoken to you at Sixel, so...
Okay, well, let's
I
hope...
think we might have met a while back.
Yeah, James, me and you, we've spoken of.
Yeah, I thought so. Welcome back, mate. Thank you for calling in.
Welcome back, Lee. Where do you stand on this debate?
Well, I've got a question for both of you before I give you my opinion. Okay, my question is, if Granit Xhaka is still in our team, in that number 8 role, do you start Declan Rice or not?
If Granit Xhaka is there, no, I don't.
No, I wouldn't. I'd start Jorginho.
Because
I think I know where you're going with this, and I think it's because
I don't. I'll be honest.
Because Xhaka, while he wasn't the fastest, he's robust. He's a box-to-box option. He does get up and down the pitch. His fitness is elite, and he's a presence in that midfield that offsets what lack of presence you might have in Jorginho.
And on top of that midfield, when we last played them, granted, I understand we drew 2-2. Granit Xhaka, Partey, and Odegaard. We dominate. I know we drew 2-2, but I'm telling you, that first half, we were unbelievable. We were so comfortable that our team got overconfident. That if Xhaka's there, I've seen that midfield. I know it's not the same midfield we might have here. They've dominated that West Ham midfield, and I know there might be slight changes, but they're good enough. So yeah, if Xhaka was here, I would start Xhaka, and I think a Jorginho added to that wouldn't be a problem. I'm interested. I'm still trying to put into my brain why you've asked us that. James sees where you're going. I don't know. Did we counter it? Or?
So the reason I've asked that is Partey is injured. Mm-hmm. We've got Declan Rice, Jorginho, and we've got Mohamed Elneny. Look, I love Elneny. He's a great player, in my opinion. He does a great job. But we don't have that physicality in the midfield that we would have before. If you don't have an option for Xhaka, which I think Arteta brought Kai Havertz in for that kind of position, it's not quite worked out the way I thought it would. So my opinion is then you have to have a physical presence in that midfield that can handle that kind of pressure from a team like West Ham. If you don't have any alternative to Declan Rice, then you have to start Declan Rice. I think someone else said, you have to work with your poison. Arteta had the option. He's been with us for 3 seasons, more than 3 seasons. If he wanted that steal in midfield, as an extra option, he would have gotten it. He doesn't have it now, and that's why, for me, Declan Rice starts. I've got the same argument regarding Saka. We've not gotten a replacement for him. There's someone that can push him the way you've got Trossard and Martinelli on the left-hand side. So now you talk about overplaying Saka. He doesn't have an option. In certain games, you don't have an option if you're taking competition seriously. So for me, it's Declan Rice to start, possibly with Mo coming on maybe in the second half. I think Elneny deserves more of a chance than Jorginho, if you ask me, between the two of them, because I think he's always done a good job for us. He's one of our most senior players.
Yeah, I hear.
And I think in that case, he knows West Ham quite well. Like I think someone else mentioned, we've done well with him against West Ham. So for me, Declan Rice, 60 minutes, bring on Nini. If you have a 1-0 lead, take Declan off, bring on Nini on for the last half an hour again.
Yeah, I hear it. I think that argument about physicality, it's why, through gritted teeth, I understand playing Havertz. Now, I know it's crazy to use Havertz when you're talking about physicality, because he's actually... It's a really difficult one with Havertz. You don't see this lung-busting, sprinting midfielder. I don't know if he knows what the R2 button is. But the one thing about Kai Havertz is, where I will give him credit is I've seen him get stuck in duels. He is fast, like as in we know he's got it in him. He might not want to use it, but he has got pace. We saw that at Leverkusen. We saw him when he was leading the line at times. He did have that little burst of pace when he played out wide.
He does win headers as well.
He wins headers, and he's 6'4". So you can try and create a physically imposing midfielder in there who can maybe offset then the shortcomings of a Jorginho, who, the one thing about Jorginho, while he's done well for us, I believe, apart from the Tottenham moment, I think he's done well for us since he's arrived, but he hasn't done anything to dispel the fears that people had about his physicality. Like he does get overrun in midfield if you allow him to be. Where he's very clever is he sticks close to his holding midfielder. They work as a unit. That's why he did well against Man City. That's why he did well at St James's Park last season. He'll probably play at St James's Park again because he's kind of good in tight spaces, understanding the game's brilliant. But I think in this game against West Ham, which I expect to be a little bit more open, maybe you need Havertz, maybe Smith Rowe to help him if you're not going to play Declan Rice. But ultimately, I would be very tempted to play him because I don't know if anyone is a solution enough for that Jorginho problem.
Okay. Lee, let me just get your score. I'm going to give my thoughts after because we've got one more caller waiting. But give me your score prediction just for tomorrow.
I was actually going 2-1 as well. Really tight game. I think we will concede. But I think if you have the firepower of Martinelli, Trossard, those types of players on the bench, I'm pretty sure we can get more goals than them. And just before I go, my actual midfield prediction, if in terms of a 3 in midfield, I think if you're going to start Noel Nini, I would actually bring Zinchenko into a number 8 role because it provides you with a little bit of physicality and is technically gifted. And I think that's a good supporting role from Noel Nini. And then Fabio Vieira in the number 10, I think he deserves it. He's not been playing enough. And every time that boy comes on, he does a job. You want us a penalty in the last game? I think that's our number 10 when Odegaard's on the bench.
Lee, if he goes with that tomorrow, my birthday's tomorrow, I'll give you £100 out. So hopefully I get some birthday money. If he goes to that midfield, because I don't see that happening. Come back on here. I owe you some. Yeah, I don't see it happening. But it's always nice to dream. A lot of
love for you in the comments. GZM Junior says 100% spot on. Someone else said. The caller's on point. This caller's on point, says Titus. So yeah, makes a really great points and getting us
maybe that midfield though. I think you might get some other comments there. I don't know what he's talking about. But you do make a good point of physicality. But thank you, Lee, for joining us. He did make a good point there with physicality. Before we get our last caller, but recently when I've watched Arsenal, right, the physicality thing was always, by the way, it's always been a question mark for me, the bullying and us being able to get rolled over. But we do so, even without Declan Rice, we keep the ball and play the ball in such pockets and find spaces that you can't bully this Arsenal side. I saw us against RC Lens and not RC Lens, Seville. Obviously Rice might be in there, but Rice doesn't get involved in like the dark arts. He just wins the ball very well and keeps it moving. When it comes to physics, I've seen Sergio Ramos try bully Arsenal. I've seen players trying to get in their heads by physically taking out the Sakas and that, but we overcome that by just being a better side. And I feel like regardless of who you put in that midfield, I think they can outplay them without getting involved in this whole I'm a beast.
Maybe. You're getting a lot of happy birthdays, by the way. The Lizard King says happy birthday for tomorrow, Cecil.
What a name.
You had quite a few. Cecil, big up, happy birthday, says Hamal. Let's get our final caller of the day. How you doing, man?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. You said on the last FANZONE, you said you're always the last caller. But
always.
You're a fantastic caller, so thank you.
Mans, where are you out for dinner? I see the roll neck. What's going on with vibes in tonight? What's good? It's Halloween.
No, I'm just out with my daughter at the restaurant.
Lovely.
Spoiling. Clothing for Halloween.
I love the commitment though. You're still here, even when you're here to give your say, and that's what we appreciate. So thank you so much for joining us.
I got a notification from an app. I'm like, I need to do this.
Let's get straight into it then. As you're the last caller, let's get your thoughts on this whole, the Rice debate. Would you start him? Should he be starting?
No, I wouldn't start him at all. I wouldn't play him at all. But that doesn't mean to say that I don't take this cup seriously. I take this cup very seriously.
Yes.
Us fans, we're saying this is the season where Arteta needs to win a trophy because we haven't won a trophy since his first season. But we have to prioritize as a big club now, as a club that's back in the title challenges, as a club that's taken seriously in the Champions League. We got to prioritize. So let's say Rice plays and he gets injured, and we got a game against Newcastle on the weekend. So what's going to happen then? Where we're going to play Jorginho, who's going to get outrun and pressed by Newcastle midfield. I think that midfield is going to be played key role against Newcastle, and we just cannot risk it. Well, tomorrow we actually can. We can play Jorginho, we can play Elneny. I think Elneny has never had a bad game for Arsenal. I think he's looked stable most times. I don't think he's actually had a bad game.
I think he's been fine as well.
Yeah, I think he's been fine. So why not take a risk and start him instead? So start him, give Fabio Vieira a game because I love the player. I've always seen a player in there. I've never understood fans who were saying, let's sell him, because he didn't get a time of the day last season. I wish he got the treatment that Havertz is getting this season. Last season, maybe would have seen him do better earlier. But Fabio Vieira, with Elneny, Odegaard. He's important for Newcastle as well. He's our key player, but it's like he hasn't started the last 2 games. Yeah. So maybe give him some time to get his form back. I think he's been upset with the Norway exit from the Euros. So he's not in the mood to play football, maybe. I don't know, but hopefully he's better. He's doing better now. So, I would definitely keep Rice out of it. He's our best player this season by a country mile. He is the reason why some of our losses, some of our draws are draws and not losses, and some of our wins are not draws,
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, you make a really good point.
So, I'll rotate as many players as possible.
Fair enough. I see what you're saying. You can want to rotate, but also still take it seriously. It's just striking that balance is very difficult to do for Arteta. Let's get a score prediction from you, man, to round off the show.
Last time we played Brentford, I said 1-1 and penalties. I'm so glad I didn't get that right, but that was close.
I said the same.
I say 1-1 penalties again. West Ham. No, seriously, I just think West Ham are also have not done too well in the recent games. They've lost to Everton at home. They've lost to Olympiacos, I think, in the Europa League.
Correct.
So they're going to be coming up for this we always get these teams, I swear to God. They've lost like 2 or 3 games before us, and they're going to come pissed off and motivated. Yeah. And I think they're going to take it seriously. But so are we. Yeah. And I think we'll beat them on penalties. I want to be in that final in February, lads. I really want to win this competition.
Amen.
Completely and utterly with you.
Thank you so much.
That's a good note to end on. Thanks for calling as always, mate.
Happy early birthday to my mate Cecil, and happy Halloween, guys.
Thank you, mate. Go enjoy. Go have a great time.
I will.
Take care,
Thanks, lads.
In a bit. Bye. Fantastic callers as always.
Great callers, and this is the competition that finishes the earliest, right? So I should love. I don't want to say I would love to win it. People are like, oh my God, Cecil, can't it's only carry up. It's only a League Cup, but. If you get an early trophy and it's the momentum going into the spirit going in towards the back end of the season, I don't know, it would be nice, and I think it is possible.
Even just in its own right. Winning a trophy, like going to Wembley, winning a trophy, lifting silverware, like something you've earned over 5 games, like, and sometimes you get some really hard teams, like Man United walked their way to the final, but then had to beat Newcastle, to be fair. So you never know.
But we always have difficult runs in run-ins. FA Cup, we always have difficult games to overcome, big teams and win a trophy. But listen. It's been fun. Thank you, James.
No worries, mate. Well done, everyone. Fantastic comments, fantastic callers. Great to chat to you all. Amir says, we already lost Partey to injury. The cup isn't the priority, the highest priority. Rice to start is a risk. And yes, he never gets injured, but so did Thomas Partey at Atletico Madrid.
Curse.
Very good point. Virupaksha calls it the Mickey Mouse Cup, but the dictionary says Arteta will go strong. A lot of people agreeing with what Mans was saying as well. Elneny, Jorginho, Havertz is the midfield that Travis wants to see. Look, thank you so much for all contributing. For the record, the poll that started an hour ago, 1,200 votes.
Where are we at?
52% no, he shouldn't start.
Happy birthday, me. Well done, everyone. Wow. With a brain. I agree.
All his birthday wishes came true.
But Arteta, be clear, he probably will be starting him tomorrow. But anyway,
as Javi said, as you know, he'll get, you know, whatever happens, he'll find a way to get him and Saka on that pitch.
Yeah.
Big thank you to everyone for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. We're live tomorrow to react to every kick of a ball as it happens. Go check out the Predicted 11, the preview done by Cecil Laurie and Turkish. Let us know the 11 you want to see by downloading the AFTV Plus app. There it is. That's how you join us on FANZONE, but it's also how you can do the 11 select and lots of other things. You can watch our content. There's honestly the AFTV merch store, as you can see, lovely hoodie worn by Cecil there. Go check it all out. Let us know on social media the 11s you want to see. We'll go through them in the starting 11 show tomorrow, and like I said, react to every kick of a ball, be live on full time to get your thoughts, and then react to it all after. Hopefully there's a draw we're in tomorrow night too. I think the draw's tomorrow, to see who we've got in the quarters if we make it. All right, everyone.
It's been a
Big
pleasure.
thanks. Happy birthday, Cecil. In a bit.
Peace.